Hi, Craig. Can you hear me, Craig? Hi, everybody. Can you all hear me? Hello?
Yep.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi. 1 minute. I'm just going to. Oh, there's a lot of noise there. I'm just trying to get Craig, our speaker, to put up his slides. Craig, are you there? Okay, I made him the presenter. So we'll be ready in a few minutes, everybody. Thank you. Craig, are you there? Oh, there. Oh, okay. There he is. Hi, Craig. Can you hear me? Hi, Craig. Can you hear me? Hi, Walt. Can you hear me?
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Walt. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Really great. I'm looking to see if Craig can hear us. Hi, Craig. I know you're there because I see your slides.
Man, his microphone is lit up too.
I know, huh? Okay. Well,
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing.
there you are.
Hey, here I
Yay. All right. Good deal. Can you talk now? No? Hi. Can you hear me, Craig? Okay. We're going to start in just a few minutes, everybody. Hi. Okay, Craig?
Mike is muted now, Linda.
Oh, it's muted? Okay.
I guess he gets on his end now.
Okay, so I hear some background noise. Let me just mute everybody for a moment, and we'll get started any moment. Hi, George. Do you have a question? George? Can you hear me? I saw your hand go up. Okay, maybe. Craig, are you ready? No, we can't hear you. I see you talking, but we can't hear you. I muted you? Let's see. I don't see your name here. I don't think you're muted. It says I'm muted. It says you're muted. Okay. Okay, try now, Craig. Craig? You're still muted?
I'm not. You unmuted me, Linda. Maybe he muted himself. Have him click on his microphone in the window.
Yeah, click on your microphone in the window.
Does he have his control panel open?
Is your control panel open? See, the funny thing is, your name's not there in the window. That's so weird.
Yes, mine unmuted, but his didn't when you unmuted.
Where do you see his name?
Well, Barbara's in the window. I don't see yours, but I see Barbara's.
Oh, you see Barbara's in the window? I don't see Barbara.
Yeah, it says
Wow,
Barbara,
that's
then
weird.
Craig, then Carolyn, then Christopher, Diane, George, James, Jocelyn, Kathleen.
Yeah, no,
Dave.
I see all those people, but I don't see Barbara. Okay, is Barbara's muted?
No. Right below the little orange arrow is also a microphone. You can click on that, and that should unmute him also. All right, he's gone now. Maybe he logged out and he's going to log back in.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. It says you are unmuted. People can hear you. Click to mute yourself. So you can all hear me.
Technical difficulties beyond our control. Please
There's
stand
Craig.
back.
There's Craig. Now he went out again. There he is.
Ah,
There you are.
wonderful.
Sorry, Craig. We certainly want to be able to hear everything that you have to say because I know it's wonderful.
Well, thank you. Now, you can't see me now. I don't see the option to see me, but that's fine. I'm, not that pretty, so.
No, but we can't see your slides either.
Yeah, I just have one, so that's not a problem. I didn't really put slides together.
Oh, okay.
I've got more of the gift of gab.
Okay, everybody. I just let me introduce you, Craig. Okay.
Yes,
Do
please.
you have a picture or something to put up? Let me find a picture.
Yeah, I got one up on my screen. Can you see my screen?
No. It says Members Professional Development Conference.
Yeah, I can't turn on my screen. There was a feature previously that allowed me to turn on coaching practice, and like many of you, I started out listening to people's problems, helping them generically, moving them forward. But over time, I started to see these combinations of things that I was doing was very, very effective. And I put those things together. I packaged my coaching program because I believe for many people, they want to buy a package and they want that package to produce results. So I started to guarantee those results, and over time, that package that I put together turned into the Mindful Habit, which is now a 12-week program that I offer to clients one-on-one. And I also have an online course that I offer through the Kajabi platform, Kajabi, and that is an online learning management system that allows me quickly and easily to tie together the payment gateway, your email responders, everything all in one place, and it hosts my 33 videos, it hosts my forum, it hosts my webinars, and all of that now is in one place, and I've got clients, thousands and thousands of dollars I've made selling that package, that online product. And it's been an incredible journey, and I have to say that it is this organization, the one that you're all a part of, that launched me to get to where I wanted to go, because I needed some kind of certification. I needed a discipline. I needed a foundation to do what I was doing, and that's when I discovered Barbara, and that's when I signed up. Both my wife and I are certified professional coaches, and the rest is history. I am now in a place where I'm regularly doing interviews. I've been on the Katie Couric Show. My wife has been on the Anderson Cooper and Katie Couric Show, and I now have a film company in San Francisco looking to do a documentary. They've invested $15,000 of their own money to put this package together. We're looking for more investment ultimately to share my rags to riches story and how low I sank, and how these two different parts of me. And it has been an incredible journey. So what I thought we could do in this time that we have together is, of course, answer any questions that you guys have, and like, how did you do it? How did you do it? And I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it, and what can I do to help advance my coaching practice, because you're all here because you have a passion for helping people. And I want to help you maximize that passion that you have to turn it into a profitable, passionate business venture where you get to touch more people. And so should I just continue, Linda, or do you have any questions regarding anything I've said so far?
No, actually, what you said is great so far, and I think you just hit the nail on the head, exactly what people want to hear, the big points of how you did it, and no, it's really wonderful, Greg.
Good. So why would anybody want to see a rookie coach just out of coaching school, barely certified for 30, 60, 90 days, over the wealth of counselors and therapists, people who have been trained, certified sex addiction specialists? Why would you want to see me? Why would someone pay me? And at first I started pretty general, and I'd help anybody with anything, until I started to see people gravitating towards me because I started to share my story. I started to share my story, and people connect with people who share similar stories. All of this falls under the umbrella of niche marketing, N-I-C-H-E. I found my niche, and I encourage all of you to reflect over the course of the next 24 hours, what do you do well? Why do people connect with you over someone else? Why should someone come see you for coaching with all the options that we have out there? Because ours is a growing profession. How do you distinguish yourself in the marketplace? So what I did, instead of running away in shame from the problems that I had, because they're particularly embarrassing, they involve sex and drugs and all sorts of crazy things that I've done in my life, and when I decided to make lemonade and started to share my story and share my struggles and share how I overcame them, that's when things ruptured for me. That's when things ruptured for me. And so any new coach in the business, and I talk to a number of people who call me, people looking for advice, and on calls just like this one, is I encourage you all to find your niche, particularly when you're starting. We all have our own personal struggles. We all have things that we've gone through in our lives, and how can you use those personal struggles, those trials and tribulations of life to help other people? Because here's the reality. Here's the reality, and here's what I found. People want somebody who's been there before and who can show them the way out. Not because they read about it in a book, not because they wrote a paper on it, because they've been through it. Now, of course, you've got to hone your skills. Of course, you've got to create the package that's going to move them forward. But where do you start? You start in your own life. What have you overcome? Why are you doing what you're doing? So many of my coaching friends, they were in similar situations to me, or at least in the sense that they got fired. They lost a job. They had to find some other way of helping people, and they were drawn to coaching because they knew that they had inside them the ability and the power to change people's lives. And so once I was able to identify what my niche was, and you can you can't see my screen, but I work with men. My niche is men and couples struggling with compulsive sexual behavior. And from that niche grew now an international coaching practice where I sell things online. I work with clients one-on-one, and it's completely changed my life. It's also led to a series of speaking engagements here locally because I deal with taboo topics, sex and pornography. Those are two issues that are profoundly impacting the youth of our world, but my impact locally is I lecture for free to anybody who's willing to listen on how to raise a responsible digital citizen and how to protect your children online. And so I've carved out a very powerful niche for myself in this space and put together a program, and I can talk about how I did that in a second, and put together a program that solves people's problems. See, if instead I targeted everybody, right? Now listen, that's where I'm going next, because I've seen this habit-based model work for people all over the world. And I remember the first call I got from a client, Linda. He called me 6 months after we stopped seeing each other, and he said, hey, I lost 100 pounds. How did you lose 100 pounds? He says, the mindful habit. I use habits, I use mindfulness, and I took action. Those are the three things that I did. Then another client quit dipping. Another client quit smoking. And so I've seen this program evolve to a place where I know it's helping people, and all my friends are now asking me, hey, what did you do? How do you do it? Tell me about this mindful habit business. And so I am going general, but I started very, very specific. And I wanted to dominate this niche through a combination of YouTube videos, and we can talk about how to produce those professionally from your living room. Because here's the reality with today's technology, my friends, is I shoot almost TV quality green screen videos in my living room. In my living room. There is nothing that you can't do from your own home. So just to kind of recap on how I became so successful so quickly is because I tied my personal story into a niche that was in desperate need of an alternative method of healing. Beyond the 12-step programs, beyond cognitive behavioral therapy, I wanted to create, and we all know this as coaches, action-oriented, goal-centric programs that was going to move men forward fast. And that's exactly what I've done. So maybe I'll just take a quick break there and see if there are any questions around niche marketing or creating a coaching niche. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to answer them for you. And then I'll continue around how I created my program.
Thank you, Craig. That's so inspiring. I think I told you, too, that I was in a 12-step program. And all of these things are pretty much the same things, right? They're just about the underlying stuff that goes on with us, true?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are different approaches for different people. For some people, 12-step is absolutely a godsend.
Right.
One, it's free. Number two, it's a program that's gained traction since 1930s. Now, on the flip side, it's a program that hasn't changed much
Right.
from the 1930s. And so the niche that I've carved out for me, Linda, has been I'm not 12 steps, because a lot of my men have tried those programs and failed. And in fact, the efficacy, do those programs work,
Yeah.
for drug and alcohol, they've been studied time and time again, and their efficacy isn't very strong. Doesn't mean it hasn't changed millions of people's lives. Doesn't mean that it hasn't literally saved lives. But I saw a group of people who did not respond well to that treatment. And neither did I, by the way. That wasn't my thing. It just didn't do it for me for a variety of different reasons. I didn't connect with the powerlessness. I didn't connect with surrender. And for a lot of my men, they're not powerless. They're powerful. Never surrender. And so I've kind of taken it and turned it a little bit on its head and developed this program. So I found not only a niche within the subject matter, but I've created a niche within the discipline in what I teach.
Well, you know, I need to see that program because I've always known that there was something else besides, because it's worked for me, but there had to be more. There had to be something else is what I felt. And you tell me about your success rate and the people because of what you do with your mindfulness connections, and that's just really fabulous. So,
yeah. Are there any questions on niche marketing or creating a niche around your personal life story? And if not, then I'll go into the modality.
okay, so let's see. Any questions about that? A lot of people start to do things that they like and they're interested in, but what Craig was saying that's really key is a lot of times if it's personal to you and you make it personal, people are much more willing to listen to you. Hi, Diane.
Hi.
What's your question?
So my niche is bereavement or grief coaching. I've gone through it, and as I'm evolving in it, I realized that we actually have many little losses in our life starting at small childhood and don't really realize it or take it into account. We just like skip over it. But my niche really is a death of a loved one, whether it be a spouse or an adult. I'm staying away from children because that's not something I've experienced. I've experienced the loss of my husband and other family members and friends. And so I'm breaking into it. I've got my website and everything, and I'm trying to get clients, and I tell everyone about it. But when you talk about grief, no matter how you present it lightly, and don't bring the death word in, it's very difficult for people. And it's also one of those things that you have to be in it in order to need it. So one of my questions really is something like that. How do I go about getting clients?
Yeah, dog, great question, Diane. And as I posted in the question tab there, I don't know if you can see it, but sorry for your loss, and thank you for doing this valuable work. In fact, when I think of niches, that's one that clearly comes to mind because it's a state of profound suffering and loss, and it's a place where people need help. So here's what I did when I started. Okay, and I started again, nothing, zero. Like, hey, former attorney, now professional coach. What I did was I created relationships with the top websites in the world that dealt with this particular matter. So I'm just starting out. So I found a website called feedtherightwolf.org, and that's that free resource that's out there. And you may find that there are a number of people who are blogging about this issue, who are writing articles about this issue, who are covering this issue. And so I created relationships with these people by guest blogging on their website, by creating videos for them, creating testimonials for their website, commenting on their Facebook pages. And those relationships that I build, first by just producing content for them, enhancing their value proposition, resulted in me becoming a sponsor member of one of these particular websites. And the other way to create these affiliations is to use your traditional affiliate marketing tools. So if anybody on this call sends a client to me, if any of the websites that I have an affiliation with sends this client to me, you get paid. You get money. You get 20% of my one-on-one and 25% of my online programs. So I've created not only the content, not only the relationships, but I've now created a financial incentive to allow people to do that. And so now these people become incentivized because, number one, they know that I have a solution because I've proven myself in their eyes through my writing, through my commitment to the cause, through the free webinars that I did on their websites, and that really propelled me into a whole nother level. So there's that's step two. The one is identify and find the Okay, I was muted there for a second, guys. I'm back. But number one is identify the key players in the industry who are doing this kind of work, the people who are writing about it and the people who are blogging with it, and create relationships with those folks by providing content for their websites and their blogs and their YouTube channels. Number two is to create a financial incentive for those people to refer you clients. Before I was selling online products, my affiliate program was the old-fashioned way. If you send someone to me, you get 20%. Now all the electronic stuff is handled digitally. I don't even have to think about it. I make money in my sleep. And the third thing that I would do is to who is at the forefront of these issues. One of my good friends happens to be a funeral director. His name is Philip Stein, located here in Roseville, California, and he attends a number of groups throughout the course of, and this is, by the way, this applies to everybody. We're just talking about one niche here for illustrative purposes only, but identify the trade association for the people who are on the front lines of your problem. So in this case, who are the people on the front lines of this problems? They could be people in hospice. They could be people who are actually funeral directors, and they have organizations. They have trade associations. They have meetups, and you go there and speak to those people if you haven't done so already. So those are the three things that I did that took me from nothing to now, you know, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Right. Wonderful. Wait, I muted Diane. Diane, is there anything else you wanted to ask Craig? Great answer, Craig.
No, Craig, I just wanted to say thank you very much. That was very helpful.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'd love to, hear how you're doing. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My website is www.themindfulhabit.com and craigpera@gmail.com. And I'm more than happy to lend a helping hand. But when you look at the problem you're trying to solve, right, particularly as a coach, well, there's other people on the front lines who experience that problem first. Where are they located? You find them online and you find them locally, and you develop relationships with those people. And interestingly enough, I am now one of the top. I always want to be careful in exaggerating, but therapists, people who've been trained for years in therapy, people with lots of letters after their name, they now send their clients to me, the clients that they're struggling with, because they know that they're going to get a top-notch product and they know they're going to get results because I track my results. I have an 87% graduation rate. I offer a money-back guarantee, so that's whether it's my one-on-one program, and I charge $250 a week for that one-on-one program. I will give you all your money back if you haven't profoundly changed your life in 3 weeks. That sounds a little salesy to some people. I don't care. I need to be accountable, and that's what you're paying for. People who are paying me for results. So one of my key metrics that I'm able to share with people, and anybody who's in the know knows how significant this is, in 2 years and 9 months of offering a 3-week money-back guarantee, which is now up to $750 or more if I'm seeing the client more, they get their money back. Nobody in that time frame has ever asked for their money back. So in my courtship of these people that we talked about, Diane and Linda, I now have something to tell them. I now have something to share with them because I pay very careful attention. And so while you all are working with clients, throughout the course of your work, whether it be at week 3, week 6, or when they're done at week 10, whatever it might be, you've got to find those right dates. You survey those clients, and you can use one of the online survey tools. So now you get testimonials, not just when they're done, right? Because when they're done, they're gone. You know, I have a number of clients that stick around that I see regularly, but when some of my guys are done, they're gone. And so I use that to capture surveys and whatnot, to capture testimonials from clients, because now I'm able to show and talk to these people who I'm recruiting. You can't ignore me anymore. I've been on Katie Couric, and I'm not saying that to brag. Well, yeah, no, I'm saying that to brag. So when I say something like that, I have to pay attention to this person. And this, by the way, Katie Couric found us through one of these websites that I created this relationship with. And so I'm able to share with these people not only some of my public appearances, which are really sexy and attractive to other people, but I'm also able to share with them metrics and testimonials. I work with professional athletes. I work with professional musicians. I work with C-level executives from Fortune 500 companies. I now have a list of attractive marketing script copy that I share with these folks, and that only increases the number of affiliates that I have. And remember, if you're an affiliate, if you've got a website and you're blogging about bereavement or compulsive sexual behavior, all it takes is a banner ad on their webpage where people start getting filtered to you. And now you start making money off the affiliate relationship, because what you've essentially done is you've increased your reach. You've increased the number of people who are going to come to your store, and your website is your store.
Right. Do you find it blogging brings a lot of people as well? Do you blog a lot on your site?
No, I do not, and that's simply a shortcoming of mine. I not only share my strengths, I like to share my weaknesses. Blogging is absolutely important. It's very important to give away your best stuff. It wasn't until I hired a marketing, one of these multi-million-dollar marketing experts, and I paid $4,000 for this service, and right now we're in the process of redesigning the website, streamlining the funnel. But I knew that from reading all the marketing stuff online. You give away your best stuff. And so by blogging, that's a very powerful way to increase your search engine optimization. Very, very important to increase the number of people who are going to find you through traditional search methods. And now you have content to share on social media. Where I gravitate towards, Linda, is videos. I've got a gift for Gab. Right. I like shooting videos. I'm really proud of the product that we're able to produce. My YouTube channel, by the way, folks, if you want to check it out, just to see the quality and say, holy goodness gracious, this guy did this in his living room, is The Mindful Habit, all one word. And I'll write this in the question section so you guys can see it.
Great.
The Mindful Habit, all one word, and there's my YouTube channel. So I do, and for a long time I was, I should be blogging more. I should be blogging more. I've written a 200-page book. I should just blog more on that. Well, listen, I'm good at videos. I like videos. I haven't been blogging nearly as much as I should. I will blog eventually, but I know that blogging is important. So you do for you what works well.
Except that it's really a video-oriented society. So I've seen yours, and they're fabulous. They inspire a lot of passion, and you're not bad-looking either, Craig.
No, thank you. You're too kind. Too kind. Thank you. My wife agrees with you wholeheartedly.
Do we have any more questions for Craig? If not, Craig, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the mindfulness habit.
Yeah.
Anybody have any more questions right now? Okay, maybe in a little bit.
So what I'm going to talk about now is the modality that I've used, and this modality essentially that I pulled from different disciplines and made up, right, as I started. Oh, I like this works, I like that, but that works, oh, that really works. And over a period of a year, I started, because I'm obsessive about results, because I have a money-back guarantee, which I'm forced to be accountable to, I knew I had to deliver powerful content in a structured, goal-centric way. And what I learned is that, particularly around compulsive behavior, I said, you know what? Excuse me. I said, nobody's talking about habits. And guess what? All of our behaviors are governed, most of our behaviors are governed by habits. Duke scientists proved in 2009 that we spend up to 50 to 60% of our waking hours stuck in what I call habit land, subconsciously reacting to external stimuli. The clock strikes 7, we go grab that snack. It's 10 o'clock, our shows are over, we get more food. Or our wife yells at us and we're triggered to act out sexually or get defensive or eat or gamble or smoke, whatever it might be. And I started to see the addiction world, the disease-based model of addiction world, through an alternative lens. And that started with and I encourage you all to do this for a week, because I promise you your habits are going to change. You pick the thing that you want to stop doing, and for 1 week, track in writing your triggers. What triggered you? Where was that energy shift in the body? You're going throughout the day, nice day, nice sky, sunny, and there's just that trigger to eat, to watch pornography if that's your thing, whatever it might be. I work in sex and porn, so those are the words that I'm going to use. Or do something that you don't want to do. And here's the thing about triggers, folks, that is so important. I learned none of this in your traditional disease-based modality, that your triggers are biologically hardwired. And one book that I will highly recommend is Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit. Charles Duhigg, The Power of Habit. That is a phenomenal book, and that's what really started me looking at this problem through a different lens. And I said, well, if it's all habit-based, the first thing that I'm going to do is to teach my clients, almost in an obsessive way, to bring an acute awareness to their habit cycle. And the habit cycle is trigger, then followed by the thoughts. Right? I've got to do the thing. I got to eat. I got to do this. I got to do whatever those thoughts are, those self-deprecating thoughts. Use this for self-deprecating. Those of us, me included, we have these negative thoughts in our heads, and so let's bring an acute awareness to what exactly that talk track is in our heads. So my clients track their triggers, and then they track their thoughts. Then they track their thoughts. And then they track their actions. Triggers, thoughts, and actions. And so that's what they do for the first week. They literally write these down every single day for a week, and by the end of that week, we've got a wonderful collection of data in their awareness around this habit cycle that's running their lives. We spend, like I said, 50 to 60% of our time stuck in habit land, and they now have a command of the mechanism through which the negativity is going to enter their lives every single time. Trigger, thought, action. Then the second thing that I do is I help them find space, right? Viktor Frankl talks about this space in Man's Search for Meaning, a very, very, very powerful book that he wrote, where he, I'm just looking for the quote here. Anyway, I'll find that in a second. But this space, so where are you going to be successful? Well, this one, I just told you your triggers are biologically hardwired. I just told you your thoughts are the result of decades of programming. Those aren't going away anytime soon. So where are you going to be successful? And it's after the thought. And so I taught my clients a very, very simple tool called wrong thought right, which is just a hiccup. And let me read you that quote by Viktor Frankl.
Say
He
again
said,
the thought, the last thing that you said, I'm sorry. The long...
yes. So you've got triggers, biologically hardwired, thoughts, the result of decades of programming, and then the actions we take. So we're not going to be successful in the early stages suppressing the triggers. We're not going to be successful suppressing the thoughts. In fact, in the early stages, I want to bring a powerful awareness to them, but the place where everyone on this call can embrace the power of choice is that space between thought and action. And back, Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, before we knew what we know today about habits, had this quote: between stimulus and response, there is a space. And when I read that quote, I went, wait a minute, stimulus, that's a trigger. Response, that's action. Holy moly, I'm onto something. Let me keep reading. Then he said, in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response, in our action, lies our growth and our freedom. So I taught clients a very, very simple tool simply to illustrate the concept of space, that space between thought and action. And the simple tool in the beginning is called wrong thought right. Wrong thought right. And that's when you affirmatively declare the self-deprecating, negative, or compulsive thought wrong and insert the right thought. So a lot of us have seen The Secret, for example, right? A great concept. I think they take some of those principles a little too far around the people with cancer and that kind of stuff. I mean, in every kind of movement, there are the fringes, but at its core, I think it's psychologically and evidentially sound. And how to, but they don't teach you how to do it. They don't teach you how to do it. And what I realized is, how can you do it within the context of a habit cycle? And that's by hacking it, by inserting that mindfulness, that space. By the way, this is when things really opened up for me, Linda, is when I realized that space between stimulus and response, that space between thought and action, is where we need to bring the present moment, is where we need to bring the now. Because what is a habit? A habit is the subconscious, automatic reaction to an external stimuli.
Yep.
What is mindfulness? Not subconsciously reacting to external stimuli. The medical definition, pioneered by John Kabat-Zinn of mindfulness, is being in the present moment, on purpose, without judgment. So before I even get into teaching the mindfulness concept, which is essentially traditional meditation, but it's now taken on a whole scientific approach, starting in the 1970s with the brain scans of monks at Boston University out on the East Coast, has now evolved to a place where the military has a mindfulness institute. And I'll get back to mindfulness in a second, but in that space, right, again, your triggers are biologically hardwired. Is there ever going to be a place where you're not going to have a self-deprecating thought, or you're not going to crave something that you shouldn't crave, or you're not going to feel a certain way about yourself because you're down? Absolutely not. Life is ebbs, life is flows, life is high, and life is lows. And so how do we break free of that habit cycle? And in that space, the first tool that I teach is really just designed to show clients that in that space, after the thought, you don't have to take the action that you've always done in the past. In that space lies your power of choice. In that space lies your freedom. And so it's very, very simple. Wrong thought, stop sign, yield sign, speed bump, whatever it is that you need to picture, and then you insert the right thought. And then throughout the modality, I teach clients a series of tools to increase that space, because what I saw amongst all the mindfulness practitioners was you sit down, you meditate for 10 minutes, you listen to this CD, you do that, and okay, that's great. But in the moment, particularly if you're struggling with compulsive behavior, what are you going to do? What do you do? And clients need tools. Clients need techniques, just like I needed tools and just like I needed techniques. So the habit cycle, when I saw the balance, and if you can kind of think of the yin-yang logo, for me, life's battle isn't one between good and evil. That's just not how I define my life, and you may, and that's fine. You do what works for you, but I saw it as between being asleep, being unconscious, being stuck in habit land, not living in the present, living in the past, or living in the future through anxiety, whatever it might be, and mindfulness. Mindfulness, being present in the moment, on purpose, without judgment, not judging those thoughts. And so I created a practical way to first teach that concept that drives results very, very quickly, because our lives are controlled by habits. We need habits to survive. You couldn't get out of bed in the morning if it wasn't for habits. Move my leg, hit, adjust, switch, jerk, grab the blanket, close hand, lift blanket. I mean, think about all the physiology that's going on by the simple act of getting out of bed. We need habits to survive. Well, it's not just the physical habits that are plaguing us, it's the mental habits that are getting in the way of our success. And so I lay that foundation in the first week, and then throughout the course of the next few weeks, I help clients with more tools to create that space. I teach them this trigger response plan, which is simply a 5-step process. Once they've identified the space, how do you create more of it? And here's a very, very simple technique that all of you can do at home, and all it requires is a simple household item that everybody has in their house, and it's a form of aversion therapy. And if you could see me now, you'd see on my wrist is an elastic band. Well, it's actually a pretty funky black bracelet that I have. And so when I'm triggered, when I'm self-deprecating, when I'm feeling negative, when I'm down, when I'm sick, that's always a big one, is I wrong thought right, snap the elastic band, mindful breathing. Step 1, step 2, step 3. If that doesn't get me over the hump, then I do lean up against the wall and do what I call some mindful push-ups, where instead of focusing my vision outward, I focus intensely in my body. And then step 5 is when I call somebody. And so I give clients a series of tools that they can use, in many cases, to discharge their sexual energy in a healthy way, because it's leading them all sorts of crazy places, and to discharge that self-deprecating energy. And this is before we even get into any of their history, right? Because how many here people have been to a counselor, or been to a therapist, or excuse me, or might be a therapist yourself? And I know that when I went to go see a therapist, I spent 4, 5, 6 months talking about my past. Okay? And all I was doing was vomiting all over the table. I lacked the tools at that time to do anything about it. So if I can teach clients, and if you can teach your clients, how that negativity is going to enter their lives every time, and it's through the habit cycle, and how they're going to create space in the habit cycle, well, now you've got a recipe for success. That's something that they can use for the rest of their lives to not only eliminate compulsive behavior, to eliminate and mitigate the impact of negative thinking, weight loss, gambling. And I'm now training therapists locally on this model, which is, I'm so proud, right? All these people with these, fancy letters and saying, hey, what you're doing over there is like really cool, and I keep hearing about it. Do you train people? And I remember the first time someone asked me that question, Linda and team, do you train people in your modality? And I hesitated, I paused, I looked around, and yes, I do. Yes, as a matter of fact, I do, and I'm putting together a program as we speak. Now, I had conceptually thought of it. I had wanted to put together a program, and so now that program's coming together. And so the way I've combined habits and mindfulness, and by the way, mindfulness, I'd encourage all of you to learn more about it if you don't know already. It is one of the most, if not the most effective behavior change modalities out there. It's now being used by the military at the Department of Defense level to train their elite troops to go into war. It's now being used to train the troops who are coming out of war with PTSD, because it's being shown as one of the most effective modality to help troops dealing with PTSD. The leading drug and alcohol clinics in the country are now incorporating mindfulness into their practice. mindfulness has been shown not only to change your brain, light up the good stuff, darken the bad stuff, and that work started in the 1970s. It also, they've done a rigorous study most recently where they've shown that mindfulness actually changes you at a DNA level. It turns off the thing that produces the thing that makes cortisol. Pardon my science, but that's the best I'm going to be able to do. Some of the words are just too big. I can't pronounce them. So I'm just sharing with you the data around the mindfulness concept, and what it is really is simple meditation, and particularly in our hyper media stimulant society, right? I mean, you look at a movie today, the average cut is I think in Transformers, it was 2.1 seconds. The average cut in a movie like The Wizard of Oz was 1 minute and 50 seconds, something like that. It's fast, it's quick, and we're always thinking, we got to look at the phone, we got this to do, we got that to do, particularly for you self-employed folks out there who can't turn it off. There's no end of the day, right? It continues on and on and on and on. And if you know nothing about mindfulness, the place where I continue to use this app that I'm going to share with you, my clients use it, I highly recommend it. It's Mindfulness in a Can. The name of the app is called Headspace. Headspace. So it's a great introduction to the concept, but this is a scientifically proven principle that has been used to change behavior quickly and is being used by the top treatment centers, including me, all over the world because it works. And so by combining this mindfulness, not reacting to external stimuli, not being a slave to our thoughts, looking inward instead of outward, and combining it with habits has produced profound change. The third thing that I would add just to my modality, which is so important, and this comes naturally to you coaches out there, which is moving clients where they want to go. So if any of you are working with people struggling with compulsive behavior, there's the tendency to follow what other people are doing, particularly the 12-step modality where there's that self-identification. I'm an addict. I mean, that drives me crazy. Sorry, Linda. I go batty. That's not how.
No, I have my own hesitation with that too. But go ahead.
Yeah, and how I want people self-identifying is, and I've got clients who call me a lot, and they want free advice, or people call and I give it to them. Is I say, instead of focusing on not doing something. Instead of focusing on not doing something, instead for the next 7 days, focus obsessively on what you want to accomplish. Do something. Go to that art museum. Go to that play that you've been meaning to go to. Take your kids out for ice cream. Go see the movie that you wanted to see. Do something that's going to move you closer to where you want to be instead of not doing the thing. Well, guess what happens in just about 100% of the cases? The frequency of the compulsive behavior drops. The frequency of the compulsive behavior drops because it is my firm belief that you are going to get further faster by moving towards where you want to go. That doesn't mean I've abandoned any of the really hardcore science around addiction. Absolutely not. But I move my clients from addiction to sobriety to living. And so actually the end of my program is a strategic plan. I teach clients how to create a strategic plan, which is a high level. I want the ship to sail from point A to point B, and then they follow up with a tactical plan, which is how they're going to get there. And I do that for two reasons. Number one, I want to instill upon them the need, if you want to be successful in your business, and everybody gets this, right? Because I do work with a lot of successful businessmen and women, and when I share these concepts with them and I initially introduce it in the business context, they get it, right? Nothing happens at work. Anybody who's had a job before, you are reviewed from a performance perspective, clear goals and objectives if your companies are doing it well. Certainly if you manage people, you understand the importance of SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. And so I want to teach them those skills because those are things that they can carry with them for the rest of their lives and show them how things they take for granted in their professional sphere are tools that they can use to move forward. One really quick story, I worked with a CPO. This man worked for $1 billion+ company, and the CEO they were in a major growth phase, and the CEO, who was obviously super smart, I need to elevate someone on my team to the C-level suite who is a master in project management. Master in project management, because I need him to drive that discipline in all my other departments. So they called him the Chief Project Management Officer of the company. And I'm working with this guy, and we're talking about, all his problems, and I introduced a very simple concept. It's called a project charter. And basically a project charter is, at the start of any project, it's a summary, a detailed summary of what that project's going to look like. So it's the scope of the project, who are the key stakeholders, who are the members of the project team, what are their roles and responsibilities, what are the key deliverables, what are the key deadlines, and what are the key risks. There's a couple of other sections, but you get my drift. And I said to him, I said, hey, what do you think? And I asked him to tell me what it was, and he went on and on and on. I said, hey, what do you think about doing that for your life? And it was a very powerful moment, because he started weeping. He started weeping because he didn't even fathom that he could use any of these tools in his personal life. And so for you folks out there who know how to drive success and who've been successful in your life, who know how to get stuff done, don't take for granted that knowledge, because I promise you, there are people out there who don't know it, and there are people out there who are willing to pay to get it. And so I put these tools into this program, which I now call the Mindful Habit Method. So people know me online and say, this is the mindful guy, this is the habit guy. Now, I run a risk, right, because there is an addiction, isn't all over my website, so I lose some of that SEO bump, but I wanted to talk to my audience in a way that's going to resonate, because I need somebody who wants an action-oriented, goal-centric program that's going to move them forward fast. So in a nutshell, I mean, there's a lot more to it. It's a very intense 12-week program, but it moves forward faster, further, I believe, and my wife says I can get a little cocky sometimes. I don't mean it, but I will put my program up against anybody in the world. Anybody in the world. And I know it's effective because I see men coming from these treatment centers. I see men who've been in 12-step for years. I see men who've been in therapy for years and say they've accomplished more with this program with me than in 4 weeks than they have in 4 months, and in some cases years of working with other backwards-looking modalities. People need a path to move forward, and that is the powerful niche that everybody on this call can fill. That is what people need, because here's what happened, folks, right? Here's what happened, is when you're sad, when you're anxious, when you're stressed, where do you go? Right? You go to a therapist, and therapists are there to treat mental disease. And frankly, I think that they've really kind of expanded their niche to, things that frankly fall squarely in the coaching realm. And that's the hole that we all can fill. If I've got someone who's bipolar, if I've got someone who's borderline, if I've got someone that doesn't have a firm grip on reality, that's not my guy. You need therapy. You need to see an expert. But if you're depressed, you're anxious, and you're acting out compulsively, you're the guy for me or the gal for me. And so the power of coaching is to fill that void, because people need tools, they need techniques, and they need a program that's going to march them step by step towards where they want to go. And everybody here listening to me right now has the power to create their own program, starting with the fundamentals you've learned in the course that brought you here, to help people who are struggling with whatever problem it is that you're there to solve.
Yeah. I'm just totally inspired by everything you just said. So
Thank
good,
you.
Craig. And you're such a good deliverer of information. So I just wanted to add that about 30 years ago, we lived in Worcester, Mass. And John Kabat-Zinn, we were was our mentor. We did some of his courses, and my husband has extreme bipolar disorder in the manic end, and he saved his life. He has
I have-
been using mindfulness for 30 years. He literally saved his life. Yeah.
Yep, I have no doubt, and the clients, I have bipolar clients. Now listen, they've got to get their medicine stabilized,
Yeah,
right?
get their meds. Takes meds.
You've got a chemical imbalance going on. But once they get their medicine stabilized, bipolar people, in fact, respond very well to coaching, because bipolar people, as you know, Linda, need structure.
Yeah.
That's how you, that is how you are going to survive and thrive with that condition. It is living, and one of my bipolar clients, he loves this phrase, living a metrics-driven life, and that's also part of my program. I have my clients track their performance. This is around week 5. This is when we move from awareness to accountability, and if I may be so bold, the accountability is essentially the own your shit, excuse my language, part of the program, where the only place you're going to be looking, brother and sister, is in the mirror. And so they track their performance around 6 key life areas: career, finances, health, hobbies, so important, relationships, and spirituality. So I have my clients, I call this exercise the happiness index. They track their performance in these 6 categories over the course of 1 week. And the second thing that they do is they identify in writing what they did or didn't do that produced that result. And so by the end of the week, 2 things have occurred. Number 1, the client knows that they've got far more control over their happiness than they ever imagined. We all do. We all do. Once they started bringing awareness and attention to the things in their life that they wanted to be, the parts of their life where they wanted to be successful, well, guess what? They started to get results. And here's why. This is something you should all write down. I have it written down in front of me. What gets measured gets done. What gets measured gets done. So at work, who's here in sales? Who here has had a job where they sell insurance, where they do this, where they manufacture widgets, whatever it is? Someone's measuring something, but we don't bring any of these skills into our personal life. Yeah. And I've got clients years later still using this tool, and then version 2 of my online program and in my one-on-one now, I teach clients 2 very important concepts. Number 1, because we're creatures of habit, we need to have in place the infrastructure that's going to keep us from slipping out of mindful land into habit land. What infrastructure does your company need to be successful? Or pick a company if you don't work for one. There's things in place. There's performance evaluations. There's an HR department. There's someone handling financing. There's someone handling IT, right? And all of them are being measured. And so there's an infrastructure in place that drives success. And look no further than the human resource industry for some great tools. They're very, very good at driving performance. And so what infrastructure do you need? What infrastructure do your clients need in their lives to drive success? And my model teaches clients exactly how to implement that infrastructure and maintain it. The second component that's taken on incredible, that has grown in significance, is this concept of living a metrics-driven life. So after clients produce their happiness index, and let's say we've got a couple who's having some relationship problems, which is so often the case in my line of work, these clients produce scorecards. Right? That was all the rage, right, in corporate America 5 years ago. Everybody had a scorecard for everything. Every department had a scorecard. What's your dashboard look like? Right? How do we know you're being successful? And here are the 5, 6, 7 things that have to be done. And can you imagine the state of marriages in this country, if you had couples quarterly checking in, hey, how am I doing? How are you doing? Yeah. How am I doing? And so living a metrics-driven life. And all these things for me, personally, and my clients are critical because we're creatures of habit. That keeps us mindful. That keeps us moving towards the goals that we want to accomplish in our lives instead of slipping back into old patterns. Because if you take your foot off the gas and you start coasting, I'm going to blur 2 analogies now, but we're like water. If we're not flowing, we're stagnant. And it might look pretty for a day or 2, but you know what happens to stagnant water. So you've got to create that flow and keep it moving in the right direction. And tools like the one that I'm sharing with you and other ones that you can create for yourselves or find online are critical to helping clients and helping ourselves move towards what we want to accomplish in life instead of running away for something.
Super. So much good information. Since spirituality is my thing, I just was reminded of something, that miracles are made from shifts in thought and action. Changing our perception, our thoughts, and our actions create everyday miracles all the time. All the time. So, so guys, any more questions? I know our time is a little bit past, but I mean, Craig has so much to offer. Does anybody have any questions now? If you don't, George, do you have a question? Because your hand has been up the whole time. But I don't know if you do. Oh, you do. Okay. Does anybody else have a question? No? Okay, so as Craig said, Craig, do you want to repeat where they can reach you and get you your information?
Sure. So my website is themindfulhabit.com. Feel free to look at my website from a sales and marketing perspective. By no means is it perfect, but if you see something you like, copy it. I use WordPress. The theme that I use is the Divi theme. I did it myself. You can do it yourself. Themindfulhabit.com, and you can reach me on my website there, or you can email directly at craigpera@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Craig. This has really been wonderful, so wonderful, and I wish you so much luck. I saw you on the Katie Show. Your wife is adorable, and it was really wonderful. So, you know, and looking forward to all that you do here, you know, when you go to Seattle. I'm really happy for you. So everybody, thank you for coming. So appreciate it. And again, if you want to talk to Craig, be sure to do so, or look up on his website and find a wealth of information. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your being here. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye, Craig. Thank you.